Jade, please open the door. Let me in.
I'll never forget the sound of that knock. 3 violent, frantic bangs against my apartment door at exactly 12:07 a.m. on a rain-soaked Tuesday in October. Not the lazy tap of a drunk neighbor, not the polite rat-a-tat-tat of a late delivery. This was the knock of pure terror, the kind that rips you out of your skin before your mind even catches up. I was in ratty pajama shorts and an old kickboxing tournament t-shirt. Toothbrush still in my mouth when it came again, harder. Like fists were trying to punch straight through the wood. My heart slammed against my ribs. I spat toothpaste into the sink, wiped my mouth, and yanked the door open with the chain still latched. Riley was on the other side. My twin sister. My mirror image. Except right then she didn't look anything like me. Her left eye was swollen completely shut. The skin around it a vicious purple-black that glistened under the hallway light. Her bottom lip was split wide open, blood crusted in the corner like war paint. But the worst, God, the worst, were the bruises circling her throat. 5 distinct, livid fingerprints on each side, deep plum and fresh, the kind of marks that only come from hands that meant to end a life. Jade, she rasped, and her voice cracked like thin ice. Then her legs buckled. I caught her before she hit the tile, dragged her inside, and kicked the door shut so hard the frame rattled. She was shaking uncontrollably, making these tiny, wounded animal sounds that tore straight through my chest. Riley, baby, look at me. Who did this? I already knew. I'd known for months. But hearing it and seeing it were 2 different kinds of hell. She just collapsed against me and sobbed. Raw, guttural, body-shaking sobs that soaked my shirt with tears and blood and terror. Let me take you back. Because this didn't happen in one night. Monsters like this are built slowly, brick by calculated brick. Riley and I are identical twins, 28 years old, born 7 minutes apart. Those 7 minutes made me the big sister, and I never let her forget it. Growing up, strangers couldn't tell us apart. Even Aunt Evelyn, who raised us after Mom and Dad died in a wreck when we were 12, still mixed us up if we switched hoodies. But where it mattered, we were opposites. I was the firecracker, the one who got suspended for breaking a bully's nose in 7th grade when he shoved Riley into a locker. Riley was the gentle one, the girl who cried when she found a bird with a broken wing and nursed it back to health in a shoebox. I became a Muay Thai and Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu instructor. She became a kindergarten teacher who kept extra snacks in her desk for kids who came to school hungry, 4 years ago. Riley met Ethan Caldwell at the charity gala her school threw every spring. He was 34, old money handsome. Real estate developer with a jawline that could cut glass and a smile that made donors open their wallets. He donated $25,000 that night. Then asked Riley to dinner before the dessert course was served. I met him on their 3rd date. Riley dragged him to Sunday dinner at Aunt Evelyn's. He wore a tailored navy suit on a weekend, kissed Aunt Evelyn's hand like we lived in a damn palace, and asked me polite questions about my gym. Everything was perfect. Too perfect. His eyes when they landed on Riley weren't warm. They were possessive. Like he'd already decided she belonged to him and everyone else just hadn't caught up yet, I told Riley that night. Bad idea. She accused me of being jealous, of not wanting her to have something that was hers alone. We had our first real fight ever, screaming, crying, doors slamming. She stopped answering my calls for 3 weeks. 10 months later, they were married in a cathedral with 300 guests and a gown that cost more than my car. I stood beside her as maid of honor in sage green silk while my stomach churned. After the wedding, Riley disappeared inch by inch. She quit teaching. Ethan thinks it's too stressful. She moved into his fortress of a house in the gated suburbs. Our weekly coffee dates became monthly, then quarterly, then radio silence. There were always excuses. Ethan had a work trip. They were renovating. She had a migraine. But I felt it through our twin bond, something dark and heavy, pressing down on her side of the connection. The red flags were small at first. Long sleeves in August. Sunglasses indoors. Canceling plans last minute with apologies that sounded rehearsed. The way her laugh got thinner, The way she flinched when a waiter dropped a tray. How every opinion she used to have suddenly started with "Ethan says" or "Ethan thinks." 6 months ago I ambushed her outside Whole Foods. When I hugged her, she went rigid and whimpered. I pulled back and saw her collarbone was mottled yellow-green under her scarf. She swore she'd fallen down the stairs. Riley is the clumsiest human alive. She once broke her wrist tripping over air. But I knew. 3 months ago, Ethan answered the door when I showed up unannounced. He blocked the doorway with his body, smile sharp as a blade. She's resting. Maybe call first next time, Jade. I never made it past the threshold. Then came that knock at midnight. She was on my couch now. Ice wrapped in a dish towel pressed to her face, shaking so hard the cushions vibrated. I sat beside her, careful not to touch the bruises blooming across her ribs. Talk to me, Ree. All of it. It took an hour and 2 cups of chamomile she couldn't drink. The words came in shards. It started with criticism. Her outfits were too revealing. Her laugh too loud. Her friends a bad influence. Then the yelling. Then the rules. Phone on the counter at all times. Location sharing always on. Every purchase approved. Then the first slap, to get her attention. Then the choking that left her peeing blood for 2 days. Tonight he'd come home late, drunk on power and bourbon because a deal fell through. Dinner was 3 minutes cold. He dragged her by the hair, slammed her against the marble island, wrapped both hands around her throat, and squeezed until the world went black at the edges. When he let go, she thought she was dead.
He leaned in close and whispered, "Next time I won't stop."
If you ever try to leave, I'll bury you where no one will ever find you. My family owns half the judges in this state. I held her while she cried herself empty. Then I tucked her into my bed under every blanket I owned, cleaned the blood from her face with a warm washcloth, and sat in the dark kitchen until the sun came up. Rage boiling so hot I could taste metal. Calling the police felt useless. No visible marks most of the time. A husband with money and cameras and lawyers on speed dial. He'd spin it. She's unstable. She's lying. She attacked him. She'd be back in that house by sundown, only worse. Then I caught my reflection in the toaster. Same cheekbones. Same storm gray eyes. Same everything. Identical. The idea hit like a lightning strike to the spine. What if we switched? I'm the one who knows how to break an arm in 3 places. I'm the one who's never backed down from a fight. Let him try to put his hands on me. Just once, when Riley woke at noon, swollen and hollow-eyed, I laid it out. No, absolutely not. She tried to sit up too fast and nearly passed out from the pain. Jade, you don't understand what he is. He's not just violent, he's meticulous. He'll know. He won't know. We fooled everyone our whole lives. Aunt Evelyn still calls me Riley when I answer the phone in your voice. This isn't high school pranks. If he figures it out, then I'll make sure he never gets the chance. She cried again. But this time it was different, fear mixed with something that looked a lot like hope. We had 48 hours. Riley taught me her prison from the inside out. Coffee at 6:27, exactly. Too splendous. Cream microwaved 19 seconds. Dinner at 6:30 sharp, never 6:29. Never 6:31. Phone face up on the nightstand when he walked in the door. No locked screens. No passwords he didn't know. No friends he hadn't vetted. No money spent without permission. Even tampons had to be justified. She drew me maps of the house, the security cameras. The panic room he'd bragged could keep someone safe, or keep them in. She taught me how she walked now, shoulders curved inward, eyes down, voice barely above a whisper. How she flinched at sudden movements. How she apologized for breathing too loud. I practiced until I hated the sound of my own soft voice. We cut my hair to match her sleek bob. She showed me the industrial strength concealer she used to hide fingerprints on her throat. I slipped on her wedding ring and felt bile rise. On the second night she handed me a roll of cash. $4,220s rubber banded together. My run money, she whispered. 80 months of skimming from grocery cashback. I was going to disappear, I just never could. You did disappear, I told her. You made it to me. That's farther than most ever get. The morning of the switch. I drove her 2 hours north to Aunt Evelyn's little farmhouse. Evelyn took one look at the bruises and pulled Riley into her arms without a word. I've never seen my sister look so small, or so relieved. Then I drove south in Riley's white Audi, knuckles white on the wheel, toward the house that smelled like money and fear. The mansion was all glass and cold marble. The kind of place that looked like nobody actually lived there. I set Riley's purse on the exact bench, she said, never the table, never the floor. Rule #1. Ethan was home early. I heard his voice from the office, charming someone on the phone. Laughing that fake laugh that made my skin crawl. I moved through the house like a ghost. Memorizing exits, sight lines, places to hide a body if it came to that. And God help me. Part of me hoped it would. He found me in the kitchen pretending to chop vegetables I couldn't taste. "You're home early," he said. Not a greeting, an accusation. I dropped my eyes. "I'm sorry. Should I have texted? Where were you?" "Therapy." I lied smoothly. Riley had an appointment every Tuesday he forced her to attend so she could work on her anxiety. He stared for a long beat. I could feel him cataloging every micro-expression. My pulse thundered, but I kept my shoulders curved. My hands folded small, finally. "Dinner at 6:30, don't screw it up again." The week that followed was its own special hell. He tested me constantly, moving a vase 2 inches to see if I'd notice and apologize. Asking trick questions about conversations Riley'd had months ago. Watching me like a hawk for any hint I wasn't his broken little wife. I gave him exactly what he wanted. Fear, submission, perfection. And every night I documented everything with the pen camera Riley had bought and never dared use. His rages. His threats. The way he'd grab my wrist hard enough to bruise and whisper, "You're nothing without me." I found the locked drawer on day 4. The key was hidden inside a hollowed-out copy of The Art of War, because of course it was. Inside, a manila folder labeled Riley in red Sharpie. GPS logs, screenshots, bank statements with purchases highlighted in yellow. A draft email to her old principal accusing her of instability and drug use. Ready to send the day she ever tried to leave. I photographed every page. On day 6, I met Helen, the advocate Riley had contacted once and never called back, in a diner 40 minutes away. She watched the footage without blinking, face getting harder with every clip. "This is good," she said. "Really good. But his lawyers will bury it in motions. We need him on tape admitting the abuse, explicit, undeniable, and not under duress." I smiled for the first time in days. "Then I'll get it for you." Day 8. He came home drunk on expensive scotch and entitlement. The second he walked in, he started looking for a fight, kicked off his shoes so they landed crooked. Tossed his jacket on the couch instead of hanging it. I greeted him the way Riley taught me. Soft voice. "Eyes down, welcome home, honey." "This place is filthy," he snarled. Even though I'd spent 3 hours scrubbing. "I'm sorry." "I'll reclaim everything. Sorry doesn't mean shit, Riley." He got in my face, breath sour. "You think I don't see you getting braver? Texting behind my back? Planning something?" My phone buzzed, a text from Aunt Evelyn's number checking in. Perfect timing. He snatched it, read the preview, and something inside him snapped. He backhanded me so hard I saw stars. Blood flooded my mouth, but I didn't fall. I didn't cry. I straightened slowly and looked him dead in the eye. Wrong twin. Asshole. The confusion lasted half a heartbeat. Then pure rage. He lunged. I was ready. I sidestepped, trapped his arm, and used his momentum to slam him face first into the Italian marble island. The crack his cheekbone made against stone was music. Before he could recover, I spun him, hooked his leg, and dropped him hard to the floor. In half a second I was on him, knee on his chest, full mount. Forearm across his throat, just enough to remind him who was in control now. My phone was already recording. Propped on the counter, catching everything in glorious 4K. "Say it," I growled. "Say what you've been doing to my sister for 4 years. Say how you hit her, choked her, threatened to kill her. Say it loud and clear for the camera, Ethan." He bucked wildly, face purple. "Get off me, you psychotic bitch," I pressed harder. "Say it or I start breaking things. Starting with your pretty face." He thrashed, managed to get one hand near my throat, but I caught his thumb and hyperextended it until he screamed. Fine! He spat. She needed discipline. She's mine, my wife, my property. She forgot her place. I had to remind her. If she ever tried to leave, I'd make sure no one ever found the body. Happy now. Every word recorded. Every confession. The front door exploded open. 6 officers in tactical gear flooded in. Weapons drawn, followed by Helen and 2 detectives who'd been waiting down the block. Police! Hands where we can see them. I raised my palms slowly and stood. Ethan scrambled up, instantly switching to victim mode. Officers, thank God! This woman broke in and assaulted me. I want her arrested. The lead detective, a woman with steel in her eyes, didn't even blink. Ethan Caldwell. You're under arrest for felony domestic battery, aggravated assault, false imprisonment, stalking, and terroristic threats. Turn around. You can't be serious. Do you know who I am? My father golfs with the governor. We know exactly who you are, she said, cuffing him. We also have 4 years of medical records your wife just signed over, GPS stalking data, financial coercion evidence, and a full confession you just gave on camera. Anything you say can and will be used against you. He lost it then, screaming about lawsuits, about how we'd all rot, about what he'd do to Riley when he got out. They dragged him out still raging. The last thing he saw was me standing in his perfect foyer, blood on my teeth, smiling. Helen squeezed my shoulder. You okay? I touched my split lip. Never better. 2 months later, the trial lasted exactly 3 days. His lawyers tried every trick, claimed the confession was coerced, that I'd entrapped him, that Riley was unstable and vindictive. The jury took less than an hour, guilty on all counts. 20-2 years. No parole for the first 15. Riley sold the mansion, donated most of the money to domestic violence shelters, and moved into the apartment next to mine. She's back teaching, this time 2nd grade, and the kids call her Miss Riley with sunshine in their voices. Some nights she still wakes up gasping, reaching for bruises that aren't there anymore. When that happens, I crawl into bed with her like we did when we were kids afraid of thunderstorms. And I hold her until she remembers she's safe. Blood doesn't always mean family. Sometimes the person who looks exactly like you is the one who saves you. By being willing to become the monster's worst nightmare. And if Ethan Caldwell ever breathes free air again, he'll have to get through me first. Drop a like if you believe sisters protect sisters. Comment if you've ever had to fight for someone you love. And if you're in danger right now, please reach out. You are not alone. See you in the next one.